Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, my name is Ife and I am a creator, a YouTuber, which means that in my essence, online, offline, I enjoy and love to make experiences, things that people can watch, hear, feel, experience, and be impacted by. As you can probably tell by the title, in this video, I am going to be reading my personal statement that got me into an Ivy League university in the United States as an international student born and raised in Nigeria. And this video is so important to me to make because this is the kind of representation I wish I had when I was writing my college essays. I remember looking online and reading so many essays and I couldn't find an African student telling me their story in their context, a Nigerian student born and raised in Nigeria telling me their story. And so this video is so important for me, for my younger self, and for whoever right now is in the process of writing essays, wishing they had some level of representation, feeling like their story is not good enough, not even knowing where to start. So I really do hope this video helps you. Now, I've split this video into 3 parts. In the first few minutes, I'm going to be reading my personal statement, but if you stop at that end there, you've missed the whole point. You need to keep watching. I'm going to be reading my personal statement at the very beginning of this video, and then I'm going to be sharing 5 tips, my top 5 pieces of advice that I will give to anyone when it comes to writing a good essay, and 5 pieces of advice that I think was so instrumental in writing the essay that I'm going to read to you. And the last part of this video would be me reading my first draft and my second draft, maybe my second or my third, so that you can get a sense of like, your essay doesn't have to start off perfect, and you will see the nonsense I wrote at the very beginning before I made 13 drafts that led me to this very final one that you're about to hear today. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the video, and here is my essay. The prompt that I chose for my personal statement is: discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. Pay attention to that prompt because my essay is a response to a prompt. It was dusk. I stood by the entrance to my home, my curious eyes following the figure balancing an aluminum tray on her head with practiced ease. I squinted to make her out in fading light and realized she was just a young girl, no older than 10. I wondered why she was outside so late while others her age cracked mad problems at home. I walked up to her. With a small voice, barely a whisper, she said, "Good afternoon." I stood there, frozen for a moment, startled by her greeting. It wasn't afternoon. She seemed old enough to read and write, yet her words were slurred and her speech unpolished. I asked for her name, hoping that I could comb through her jumbled words to find out if she was enrolled in school. "Tola, me," she said, pointing her index finger to her chest in an attempt to introduce herself. My suspicions were confirmed. She wasn't enrolled in school. As I watched her relentlessly wrestle with her speech, there was a pull I couldn't explain, a growing sense that Tola's sharp mind held potential far beyond what her circumstances allowed. I stood outside the next evening till Tola passed by. As I interacted with her, tears welled up in her eyes as she described that her family's lack of finance forced her removal from school. Seeing her day after day, I was reminded of myself not so long ago standing at similar crossroads. After high school, I received an incredible opportunity to study at the African Leadership Academy, but the excitement for my acceptance was tempered by the harsh reality of my parents' inability to afford this education. My dreams felt weighed down by the limitation of my circumstance, and self-doubt began to creep in. Amidst this despair, a distant relative offered to fund my last 2 years of high school education at ALA. My uncle saw in me what I now saw in Tola, the promise of something greater. I realized that just as he opened a door for me, I now had the chance to open one for someone else. I approached my dad to know how to best engage with Tola's family, and together, we arranged a meeting with Tola's parents. I used a portion of my savings to enroll her in a local primary school in our neighborhood. It was a small step, but it felt monumental. To ensure she stayed in school, I took on a campus job at ALA and embraced frugality in my spending. Her transformation was subtle at first, accurate greetings, confidence in her speech, but it was undeniable. I knew I had ignited a spark that could illuminate her path to a brighter future. Tola made me realize that there are many more people who, due to reasons out of their control, do not have access to education like I do. This experience deepened my gratitude for learning and strengthened my commitment to harnessing my resources for the benefit of others. When I made a sacrifice for Tola, I did so because I saw her potential to create a ripple. In the same way my education empowered me to help her, I also envision Tola in the near future using her education to bring her family and community out of poverty. As Tola's journey unfolds, so does mine, as I march into a future defined not just by what I accomplish, but what I help others, but by what I help others achieve. Now that I've read my essay to you, here are 5 top tips that I have for you if you're currently in the process of brainstorming your personal statement, editing your personal statement, from my perspective, from what has worked for me. The first tip that I have is make your story genuine. Now, this is by far my biggest tip whenever anybody approaches me about essay writing or questions about writing their essays or tells me they don't know what to talk about. Your story has to genuinely be you. I am a firm believer that life already tells the best story. We just have to learn how to tell it to other people. The way your life has played out to this very point in time, the actions that you've taken, the environment that you've grown up in, your specific childhood, that in and of itself is a story. What you are doing now, you're not formulating a story from anywhere. The story already exists. You just have to find and pick, the chapter, the page of your life that you want to tell, and learn how to tell it in an effective way. You already have a story. And I think that this point is so important. This point about making your essay as genuine as possible. I think there is a very big temptation to try to formulate something that seems very out of the ordinary. The story that I read to you is a true story that I learned how to phrase in a way that communicated my core values well. You already have a story. And as I was saying, there's a very big temptation to try to make something grand or like make something bigger than it is. Maybe because you've read so many stories of people who grew up in these very grand backgrounds or people who had access to certain opportunities, that because of that, you've dismissed your own experiences, you've dismissed your own values, or maybe you don't even feel like what you have is good enough. The truth is, as long as it is your story and life already told you that story, it is good enough. And that leads me to the second point that I have. I'm going to actually split this into 2 parts. The first part of it is know your social or cultural capital. What I mean by social or cultural capital is there's nobody that has lived life the same way you have. If you think about everybody's life as books, right? Let me use this book as books. This is my devotional, by the way. The page is so different for everybody. The page is so different, absolutely different. And I think that in order for you to know what to capitalize on, you yourself need to know what are the things that make me unique. For example, I am a Nigerian who grew up in Nigeria. I'm a Yoruba girl. I have my own specific parents. I'm a younger sibling to someone. I went to school in this particular state, on this particular street. I had this specific classmate. I failed chemistry at some point. There's so many things that make me me. It could be your childhood, your upbringing, the fact that you lived on a farm. There's so many things that you're so rich in experiences, you don't even know it. You are so rich in social and cultural experiences and value that you don't know it. You need to sit down with yourself and say, what is my social capital? What can I bank on? I'm Nigerian. Hello? I grew up in Lagos. Hello. I'm in a community where there are kids that don't go to school. That's my story. Those are the things that make my experiences unique. The second part of this advice is pick a prompt. This is one mistake that I personally made at the beginning. If I read my first essay, don't laugh at me. I beg you. Don't laugh at my first essay. I'm being serious. If you laugh at me, you will not watch my videos again. I will tune you off of my channel. You will not see this channel. But I'm just kidding. But one of the mistakes I made at the beginning was that I just did something called, I think it's called free writing. Yes, like I just did free writing. Whatever came to mind, I just wrote. But the common app, if you're writing with a common app, if you have the opportunity to pick from prompt, look at the prompt first and pick a prompt and then assess which of the chapters of your life or stories in your life with specific cultural and social capitals align with that story. You are responding to a prompt with your essay. Don't forget that they are prompts. They are prompts and they're supposed to help you narrow down your brainstorming, really hone in. I think prompts are absolutely amazing. Don't forget that they are prompts. And when you find a prompt, think about what is my social capital? What is my cultural capital that you think can help tell this story well. The third piece of advice that I have for you in your college essay writing process is to know your values. Hello, this is the most important piece. I think other than it being genuine, this piece is important. I think anybody can tell a story, but I think only few people, I think there's a lot of let me not say only few people, I think there's room for us to master how to tell stories that have clear direction, right? And I think values help you drive direction. Like if you think of values as as the fuel for the car that you are driving. That was a bad example, but anyways, one tool that I found incredibly helpful when I was brainstorming, my essay, thinking of what to write about is the college essay guide values list. I will link it in my description below, but this value list absolutely changed things for me. It is essentially a list of, I think, 100 values or so, and you, I think, get to pick 10. It even has video guided experience. It's like a video walkthrough on how to do it. Do it. Like it's going to help you so much. And I think values are so important because you can tell a story that is like a tree with so many branches, but you need your tree to be slender. You need your car to have a path that it's following. Like you need to let your story be going at something. And I think this is the beauty of applications, university application, college applications that allow you to write. They put you in the driver's seat of their experience of you, and they tell you, I'm giving you a mic. Tell me about yourself. And if you're going to tell them about yourself, I can say, oh, my name is Ife. I wake up at 6 in the morning. I go and shower. I do this and blah, blah, blah. I grew up in Nigeria. I went to school at this time of. I can tell so many different things, but I can tell a compelling story that shows specific parts of myself. Not too many. You're not trying to show your entire life history, but you're trying to show something in a narrow direction in a very calculated manner. When I did the value exercise, I remember that there were times where I was highlighting values that I believed in my head that I embodied, but I didn't have any action to show for it, right? And so make a clear distinction between, are these values that I, want to, be associated with, or are these values that I have clear, consistent action to show that I am truly interested, like that is truly a value that I embody. A good example, one of my values was service. And because the value of service was in my, I think, top 5 when I was writing my essay, I thought, okay, what are examples and experiences in my life that show that this value, it helps me narrow down my ideas. And that's how I eventually got to this specific essay. The fourth tip that I have for you with writing your college essay is, I'm going to make this as simple as possible. Write it. This is, I think, by far one of the most important piece of advice you can get. I think that there is a very big temptation to want to brainstorm, do value exercise, think about your cultural capital, go through the pages of your life and say, okay, which chapter of my life am I, telling for someone else to learn about me? I do that even at this big age. I'm still learning when to tell myself to stop brainstorming and to start taking action. I think we all, make that mistake of brainstorming so much that we don't do the thing. Sit down and write your first draft. One of the things I absolutely love about writing, and in my personal writing process, is that when I see the prompt, I sit down and I just write. I just write it. I just write a first draft. It gives me something to work with, something to edit. You don't have to make your first draft perfect. Just write. And you will see my first draft and see that, wow, Ife, you really just wrote. No direction whatsoever. No thought whatsoever. You just wrote. And that's what you should do. Sit down and write. No overthinking, no judgment. Write your thoughts down, because a draft is better than no draft at all. My last and final piece of advice is ask for feedback. Now, in this age of AI, it is very tempting to use AI to come up with what to write your essay for you, get ideas, get feedback. But I think that because you're trying to make your essay as true to yourself as possible, you ideate, you write, and get human feedback. When I was writing my essays, there were only 2 friends that read my essays not every single draft, right? Even funny story, the first draft that I wrote, the first draft that I wrote for my essay, I think that's the one I'm going to read to you guys. I remember going to my college counselor. Oh God. And she read this essay, and all I remember is going to my room and crying. I was crying, guys. And I thank God I cried, because if I didn't cry, if I had submitted this, there's no Ivy League anywhere. If I had submitted my first draft, there's no Ivy League anywhere, bro. But I think capitalize on human feedback, because at the end of the day, it's a human that's going to read your work. And when you're asking for feedback, be very strategic. When I say strategic, I mean ask for specific things when the person is reviewing. For example, I'm asking, if someone is reviewing my essay, I'm asking, can you please look at the structure? Do you think the paragraphs are flowing into each other well? Am I making any grammatical errors? These are the core values I'm trying to tell, or don't even tell them core values. What values are standing out to you from my story? Am I telling more than I am showing? Ask for specific feedback, ask for clarifying feedback as well, and be intentional about the people that you ask for feedback from. I only got feedback from 2 students, 2 of my friends that read my essays throughout, and those were the people I met with consistently. You don't need feedback from 9 people. Ask for feedback from people who actually know how to write essays. The friends I asked for feedback from were really good writers, and that's why I met with them. So ask for feedback from people who understand essay writing, who are very familiar with storytelling. I'm not saying they need to know everything in English language. I'm just saying that they need to have an eye for good stories. You know what I mean? Have a heart for good storytelling. And so that is all of my advice. Okay, now to the first draft that I ever wrote. Okay, let me open my first draft. My prompt was: some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful that their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. You're not ready. If I wasn't named Ife, I would name myself Sandwich. Nothing describes me more than a crunchy, delicious core nestled between 2 slices of bread. Just like the outer bread covering, the part of me that people first come in contact with is the movie-loving, screaming at musical performance, re-watching Netflix Gig Girl show over and over side of me. Girl, you only watched that show twice. My outermost expression of self showcases a lover of art who bonds with people through various art expressions, be it theater plays, music concerts. I have never been to a music concert. Have I? No, I've not. Or drama performances at church. To many of my friends, I come off as crazy. How many friends did I even have? Let me just keep quiet and read this story. To many of my friends, I come off as crazy. My love of art is the surface of me that bonds with people and laughs loudly. Eventually, what people get to know is that I love art and the community it builds around me, because art is my escape from my chaotic relationship with learning. That I will understand. Let me just keep quiet and read this thing. When I'm not out late at night cheering at musical plays with my friend at the Market Theatre, I'm spending hours trying to understand how frame shift DNA mutations can affect the protein synthesis, disrupt the function of enzymes, and kill an entire organism. Oh my goodness. Beyond acquiring information from my textbooks, I like to simplify my complex logical and biological thought processes through artistic expressions of science, like curating mitosis rap songs and constructing a DNA model with hair rollers and gummy bears and with my peers for class presentations. Mind you, this mitosis rap was forced. It was forced. I did not intentionally make it. My bio teacher made us do rap songs. God, I beg. Pinocchio, where are you? My insatiable desire for knowledge has enabled me to not only be the friend you can binge watch Netflix with. I've also become the friend who explains that the reason why you are sick is because your memory B cells are undergoing clonal selection and cell division to produce the antibodies that will attack the antigens of the pathogens causing your throat infection. My chaotic relationship with learning, wrapped up in my vibrant and artistic layer, form a beautiful sandwich that is me. I'm the sandwich. Learning alone does not satisfy me. What makes me whole is a community of relationships and the imprint of the memories that have been crafted by my interests. I know that I can harness the resilience and intellectual curiosity developed from my unique experiences to create a meaningful impact in the world around me. By combining my problem solving skills with a deep understanding of biological processes, I want to pursue a career at the intersection between biology and computer science to solve complex global health challenges through innovative solutions. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the second draft. I think it was just second personal statement, meaning that it was the one I put together, not the draft that had different pieces everywhere. This was the draft that I just merged everything together to show my university guidance counselor, and I see why I cried after my meeting with her, because that is a cooked essay. But I think that it just goes to show you that your first draft does not have to be perfect. This draft went through 13 cycles of refinery. But I see what I was trying to do here. Let's stop the laughing. I see what I was trying to do here. I was trying to show my love for art. I was trying to show my love for relationships. I was trying to show my love for science. I was trying to show so many different parts of me at the same time. And that was the biggest mistake that I made. I think that when I realized and I finally did my values exercise and I chose the true values that were core to me and that I had experiences in my life that could indicate that those were true experiences and that those values are my values, right? When I did that, it helped me just narrow down my focus and I trimmed off all the different things. That's one thing I think this essay didn't do so great at. Whereas my actual essay that I read to you at the very beginning was very, I honed in on a specific night, a specific evening when I met a girl that I saw myself in this girl and I said, I will help this girl because someone else has helped me. Fine, clear cut, that's the direction, not mitosis and DNA, right? If someone else was to take this essay, maybe they can hone into, the way, that mitosis rap song that my teacher made us do, made me curious about how art and science intersect and the things that I did as a result of that. But I've never done anything at the intersection between art and science. So if I told that story, it wouldn't be true to me. But I have something to show for with regards to my love for education, my love for helping young people, right? And so, guys, that is it. If you have made it to this very point in this video, I know that you are very committed about writing your essay. So after you log out of this video, go get your laptop, take your paper and your pen, whatever you're writing with, write down these 5 tips that I shared and say, I'm going to write down my values. I'm going to do the college essay guides exercise, and then I will sit down and I will write my essay. Guys, so this is Editing Ife, and I wanted to come on here to quickly say that one more tip that I really thought was important to add in this video is to talk about the importance of reflecting as you go. So you probably heard show don't tell, which I think I did really well in my essay at. So I told a story, and what you would see, or if you notice at the end, I did a lot of reflecting, and I also weaved reflecting throughout my story as well. And so a big advice, and this is a piece of advice that my university guidance counselor shared with me, is to reflect. You want to not just tell us what you're doing or walk us through your story, but you also want to give us a little bit of behind the scenes. Like, what are you thinking? What is driving your action? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why is it important to you? So basically it's okay, why should I care about this? Like, so what? And so what? And I think you can answer that so what when you give us a lot of depth with regard to what is your driving motivation behind whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're telling a story about an experience or your family or yourself. Make sure that you don't just show, but you also tell us what is happening behind the scenes in your head. So that is my last piece of advice. Thank you for watching. Back to the Ife that you were seeing before. If this video was helpful to you, let me know in the comment section, and if you have absolutely any questions whatsoever, comment them down below. I will be reading the comments, responding to them. I genuinely hope this video helps you to help you understand that you don't need to have the most verbose, the biggest, the most impressive story. You already have a story. You just need to, number one, pick a prompt, Find your, let your shoulder pad be high with the amount of cultural capital that you have. And number three, write it. Write it and ask for human feedback. Go over the editing process. Editing is the biggest part of writing. Your first draft is nothing. Your second draft is nothing. When you get good feedback, all you have to do is just be editing. Just edit, 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 edit until you genuinely just feel like, okay, this is good enough. I will send this out. Subscribe, like, share with anybody that is in the process of writing essays. Again, I truly hope this helps you, and I will see you in my next video. But before you go, I have finally found, a name for this series that I said I was going to start. The series that I'm starting is called High School to College. Yes, from high school to college. That's what I'm going to, let me just simple as that. I'm going to be sharing my experiences, things that I think has helped me, things that I think have helped me from, growing up in Nigeria, going to high school in Nigeria, then taking 2 gap years, then going to ALE, and then going to college in the United States. Everything that I think has helped me, I will be documenting them in this series. So stay tuned, turn on post notifications so that you do not miss another video from me. That is it from me. Bye bye, and thank you for watching. Bye.